Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to another incredible, this is going to be juicy, conversation around 2023, spilling the astro tea. And that is what this is all about, this panel of beautiful epic astrologers coming on to spill all of the astro tea of 2023. And there is some wild stuff, and I'm so excited to bring you today not only an incredible astrologer, but also one of my dearest friends, my kin. She is my kin. So welcome, Mikailah.
Thank you, darling, and welcome everyone. It's so beautiful to be here, Tiani. You make my heart sing when we do this. And I do have to say that for 2023, there's an amazing cauldron of astrology witches that are coming together, and wizards. So I'm pretty excited about this one. Hey, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, this one feels very magical, and it's so perfect using that cauldron, of course, that you talk about so often. What is brewing in this cauldron is huge, and for us to be able to prepare everyone, which is why I do this panel. It's just this resource that you can tap into. You're going to have availability to watch this. Of course, you might be watching this on my YouTube or on Mikailah's YouTube or wherever we share this. But of course, it's also in an audio version on my podcast, Tiani Talks. So I'm super excited that we get to dive into very sultry Lilith today. I'm wearing my Lilith earrings and I put on blood red lipstick because, if you're not watching, it's all about the blood right now. But it's all about Leo, which is just this incredible, the heart and shining. So I'm so excited to hear, because me and Mikailah have been talking for a few days about everything that she's going to share, and we both have wonderful notes, and Mikailah is diving into something really delicious for you all. So get prepared, get pens and papers. I tell you now, because there's going to be dates, there's going to be this, there's going to be a world of things that Mikailah is sharing with you today. So Mikailah, her business is Starwitch Astrology on Instagram, and of course her website. But let's introduce Mikailah by asking, and this is the question I will ask all of my panelists this year, is what do you love about astrology the most?
The most? Oh, it's just such a fabulous tool and resource and map, yeah?
Map.
And it gave me a reason to live. And so an amazing psychological healing tool. But I think there's so many profound moments, hey, when you're an astrology lover. Like, seriously, I can't pinpoint it to one thing, but I suppose it was the art of astrology and learning astrology that when I started to look at loved ones' charts, I might have judged them for how they were with their personality in my younger years. And when I started to learn astrology, and I saw their chart, their map of who they were, it was like this incredibly humbling moment, Tiani, because it's like, wow, that's actually who they are. And here I was trying to control and judge, and can't you be this? Can't you do that? I mean, I do have Saturn Sun conjunct, but in saying that,
in the first house, darling.
Yeah, in Taurus, fixed Earth with Mercury. So squaring my Black Moon Lilith and Leo. So yeah, but it was a very humbling moment for me, and because it. In a way, it was so humbling for me to give this feeling of deep gratitude and reverence for people to show up as themselves in their authentic nature with who they are. And that's ultimately what Black Moon Lilith is about, as well as cutting away all the false pretensions of how we've been conditioned or shamed or self-imposed judgments on ourselves. And she comes in and she cuts away so that we become the true authentic essence of our purity, our innocence, of our soul when we choose to incarnate. And so that was one of the most profound gifts that astrology gave me. Yeah.
It really does give you permission to accept everyone as they are. And yes, there's still edges and there's still bites and there's still moments and spiky bits, but there's this surrender in that. I absolutely agree. There is this surrender, and it is humbling, isn't it? You know, there's this permission, like you said, the permission to just allow them to express their moon that might be squaring your moon. So they're not going to emotionally decipher or feel things the way that you do. And instead of moving into maybe that reaction or whatever, there can be this, okay, of course that's the way you're going to X, Y, and Z because of X, Y, and Z. Like there's this, again, this permission and this deep sense of allowing. So I really resonate with that. And that's a beautiful story that you've shared, that astrology's gifted you, not just something for yourself, in that you said that it saved you, but also that it then helped you to connect deeper into all of your relationships through that humbling. So that's so beautiful. Thank you, Mikailah.
Thanks, darling.
Thanks for sharing. So we have this beautiful jam-packed time for you. So, there's some astrology chats that might be 20 minutes, 30, but know that this one will be longer than that. So grab a cuppa. I already have a coffee and I have some water, and I'm ready to go. I'm like holding on to my labradorite palm stone. And just as a little tiny heads up, labradorite is one of the crystals that I channeled for 2023. It is a big one. I've actually got 4 pieces in front of me and I'm probably going to be selling those. Some of them are throwing incredible purples. They're amazing. Anyway, labradorite is one of the ones, and it's very witchy. It's a witch's stone in some level as well, helping us to connect interdimensionally. But let's anchor into this incredible transit. And as soon as I asked Mikailah to come on again, within 1 second, she's replied with, "Can I talk Black Moon and Leo?" And I'm like, absolutely. Please, there is no one better qualified to speak of Lilith than, in my humble opinion, Mikailah. And I know she's got a beautiful teacher, and we're all friends with Babula as well. And Babula is coming onto the panel. But still, there's something rich around Mikailah's teachings, not only around Lilith, but also the goddess asteroids. And just a quick side note, we do have this incredible 4-part series of Ceres, Vesta, Pallas, and Juno, which Mikailah does the storytelling. And this is something that you don't want to miss. And today you're going to get this beautiful insight into what we are working with for 2023 and, well, most of 2023. And that is Lilith in Leo, this sovereign place. And I cannot wait to hear Mikailah unpack this. So I'm going to sit back, get my pen and paper out and sip some coffee and enjoy with you all before we go into any sort of conversation. But let's listen to all of the juiciness that you have, Mikailah. Thank you so much for choosing this transit. I can't wait to hear.
Oh, thanks, darling. Well, she chose me. And what I love about this, and what I'm so excited to be an emissary for her, is that she's actually a lot more, the Black Moon is actually a lot more than the Lilith mythology as well, which is what I'm passionate about speaking into. But before I dive in with all of this amazing information, is that for everyone that's joining us, deep honor and acknowledgement of the First Nations land or country on which you are. Because this is also a part of Black Moon Lilith that not many people talk into. I know beautiful Babula does, is that Black Moon Lilith has a strong connection to the Indigenous peoples. So I would like to acknowledge with gratitude the original sovereigns, the First Nations people of beautiful Wanjerabara country of the Yugambeh Nation, of where I live with my family. And I walk the sacred mountain and pray to the waterways and paying respects to the elders, both past, present and emerging, for they hold the memories, traditions and cultures of Indigenous Australia, and this land was never ceded. And for those of you that are joining us around the world, if you can just spend a moment just feeling into your body with your heart, because Leo does rule the heart, and just sending gratitude and prayers out to the beautiful First Nations people, for they do take incredible care of Mama Earth. And this is ultimately the primal instinctual energy of Lilith. So I know that Tiani and I have got an amazing YouTube part 1 and 2 on Black Moon Lilith. So we do cover a lot of her themes, but I just want to introduce with something I've written, that she's a potent astrological vortex, and she encodes our essence with the evolutionary earth song of our times. And for some, she is a familiar energy, and for others, she's this wild ancient spirit waiting to be rediscovered. And Black Moon Lilith speaks in terms of freedom and movement, liberation from the past. And this interwoven metamorphosis reawakens our magnificent soul potential and embodiment. So I'm going to speak into that later, that she's about the instinctual embodiment. She's not cerebral at all. And I will go into that more. So this is a opportunity to discover a new healing map of freedom and creative, purposeful existence, especially with her in Leo. And she's releasing old themes or archetypal stories or psychological paradigms or emotional wounds, personally and collectively, around shame, betrayal, oppression, exile, being silenced and hidden. She carries the gift of unshaming. So these Black Moon Lilith themes are not for the faint-hearted, and it can be where we feel worthless or deep shame or disgust within our own bodies as well. So she has been ostracized and exiled around, and she lives within so many of us, both men and women. It's not just for women around, well, for women it's menstrual shaming, but for men and women it can be around sexual and body shaming. Yeah, how many of us have, when we're truly honest with ourselves, carry shame around our bodies or feeling worthless? Yeah, and this is my deep, deep passion of working with Black Moon Lilith within the context of astrology as being a powerful emissary for her, is that my wish is for no individual to ever feel shame again. Imagine a world where no one carried shame. Imagine a world where our children or our children's children did not carry shame, but they rejoiced and celebrated and acknowledged in their sensuality and their body and their bleeding and the birthing and their creative processes. And imagine that each individual knows that they are safe to exist in our world. That's my wish. And this is the wish of Black Moon Lilith and her connection to being the wild one, the free one who returns from the desert where she's been exiled and banished, and she returns to dance joyously in the flames. And she calls us home. She calls us home by our name for the progressive new earth. So she is instinctual, she's primal, she's embodied, she's grounded earthy reality. Because she's the energy vortex, the furthest apogee away from the lunar moon, she holds this resonance of moving your bodies. So over the years, when I've worked with so many individuals, if they are, say, cerebral individuals that want to try to discover her and get caught up in what house, what sign, what degree, it's like as soon as I see them go into their heads and disassociate from their bodies, it's not what Lilith is about. In fact, throw that away and move and sense your bodies. Like even now, just start moving your bodies, feeling into your hips and just allowing some movement to come in, yeah? Because she's not to be intellectualized. Now, I love the intellect, don't get me wrong, it's I adore it.
Stellium and Gemini.
but this is not Lilith's calling card. And she will wreak havoc with you. She'll either come at you like the screech owl of the night sky, or she'll be very much tucked away, hidden in the shadows. And we've spoken about this, Tiani, hey, like even years later, you'll have a visitation from the black moon Lilith energy, and you go, oh my God, I've never realized that before about myself, about the unshaming of something that was lying deep in your body and your cellular memory, yeah? And that's her coming alive within you. And what I love about this is that, you know, it's all around our creative gifts and expression, with her transiting into Leo. So she transits in on the 8th of January right through to the 3rd of October 2023. And we're working with the mean position, in the sense that we're working with that medium corridor rather than the true, because the true can oscillate and it's very wild and erratic. So even in your natal chart, looking at the true and mean placements of Black Moon Lilith, like I have her mean position 16 degrees Leo in my 4th house, co-joining Vesta. And that was a very prominent life story for me, with being a priestess and working with that creative expressive energy of Leo in my 4th house. In my chart, her true position is in a completely different sign and house, and it's still relevant. My Black Moon true position is Virgo, co-joining my South Node. Now, this is why I have both of them gifting with the priestess storytelling, and I have been initiated many, many years ago as a high priestess of Lilith. And that was quite a profound initiation out in wild country with wild, wild winds. And I was stripped naked and put into a bird's nest and left for hours. And it was a really potent initiation into Lilith as a high priestess. Now, I don't talk about that very often because I don't need that acknowledgement, because what she teaches you is that what you carry is deep within you. You don't need external approval or acknowledgement. Celebration is different. And there's also a strong edge here and an inversion of a shadow around the feminine as well. There's a side of the shadow feminine that's very toxic and poisonous. Yeah. So, as I said, she's not for the faint-hearted. Yeah. And there's been a whole misuse of feminine rituals and abusive rituals and abuse of blood magic as well over the years. we're talking thousands and thousands of years here. So there's so much complexity here that we could dive into for days and days and days on. And I'm just aware we've got an hour and a Mercury retrograde. So I'm just touching on some of these juicy subjects. Hey, Tiani.
Yeah,
and
it's the invitation though, right? Like it's the invitation, like when what Mikailah is sharing is she's planting these seeds in our psyche, you know, because it isn't about just, oh, I've got Lilith in this sign. Like, yes, we acknowledge that, but Mikailah calls us deeper. And when I'm getting goosebumps again, because when you said she calls us home by our name, I can't, like, I am covered in goosebumps, because to me, that is Lilith and Leo. That is you. That is your signature. Oh my God, my whole body is covered in goosebumps. I mean, I've got my North Node in Leo, so I don't know, there's something so rich, even with feeling the Leo archetype. And again, that invitation is go and research the Lilith archetype, the Leo archetype too, to start to imbue that sovereign, creative self-expression in your own cells. But this invitation, like we said, we could talk about one aspect of Lilith for 60 years, because that's just what you can do as an astrologer. We want to give you lots, and Mikailah will continue to share all these things, but I see these as seeds of invitation for us and for you, the listener, to go into her story, which is within you, not through what someone else says or someone else shares, but she is your story and your reclamation. So the reclaiming of Lilith for yourself in Leo is going to be a very bright one, a very big one. I can feel that building, Mikailah, now, even as we speak. You know, we are even speaking today with Leo, with Lilith, exactly sextile Venus. You know, they're both in Virgo. That's right. The priestess energy, you know, Venus in Virgo, the priestess energy, and then Lilith in Cancer, you know, this beautiful, again, homecoming and the reclamation here of something that's deeper than a significant, you know, a seamless, oh, this is, you know, cerebral. No, it's the invitation to go deep. And I love that. But yeah, when you said she calls us home by our name, I think I nearly cried. I can just feel that so strong.
And you do have her in your first house in Scorpio as the sorceress with Pluto. So when people meet you, they're meeting the energy of her. And what I find is it's even beyond titles, isn't it? It's even beyond, you know, priestess or medicine, you know, like it's even beyond all of that. She's not interested in that. She's in the earth. She's in the composting of the fecundity of the earth herself. Like, this is the medicine people that carry the traditions of deep, deep earth medicine. And that's why I acknowledge them in the beginning, because they do carry the medicine of Lilith, and they, as the black moon. Now, this is really interesting, because years ago when we were working with her, it's like, because I meet these energies, I embody these energies so that I can talk about them. And with all of the trainings, it was always a direct communion between myself and the actual embodiment of the energies coming through. And you can relate to that too. We don't need the priest to intervene. Yeah. And so with this, I worked with her by actually breathing deep into my body and going down through my yoni, out through her as the great cosmic birth canal out into the cosmos. So she is so much more than the mythology of Lilith as well. She's the great cosmic mother. She's the birth canal, and you access her not by going up, out through the crown, but down through your body. And this is the movement, like moving like a cat, the Leo cat. Yeah. And Leo is fixed fire. And so fire as an alchemical energy rises. So this year, 2023, she's giving rise to our creative playfulness, our sovereignty, our right to shine with our gifts. But there's also a shadow inversion here around worthlessness and not wanting to shine, not wanting to be seen because we don't feel safe out in the world. And think about cats. When they're hurt or when they're birthing, they crawl away, don't they, Tiani, and hide in a dark place to birth.
Yep.
Or when they're hurting or wounded. See, you've got to bring her back to nature. What do animals do when they're hurt and wounded, yeah? They contract. Yeah. What do you do when you carry these unconscious memories in your body that can be related to shame or trauma as well? This is personal and collective trauma as well. And so she's offering us the gift of gold and alchemy, being in Leo, to alchemicalize and go through a transmutation, turning lead, Saturn, into gold with her transit. So she's very deep here in this nobility, this sovereignty. And to me, when I was tapping into her, she is Isis, the magician, and the great cosmic mother, and Ra, the sun god, yeah? And so with Black Moon Lilith in Leo, we're going back to the ancient Egyptian mysteries and the Hathorian priestesses that would dance.
I just wrote Hathor. I literally just wrote the word Hathor. Sorry. Of course, yes.
And of course, because now we just talk and talk and talk for hours on this. And the cats, like the Sphinx of Egypt, Sphinx medicine is dreaming, deep initiation. So this is why it's unshaming to reverence, yeah? It's like allowing the salamanders, the creative fire elemental beings to come, because she's earthy, she's golden, she's this rich alchemy and transformation, and the deep sovereignty that goes back to ancient Egypt. There's something really potent coming through around 2023 with Black Moon Lilith and Leo and Hathor and Isis and the ancient Egyptian mysteries, yeah? It also brings in the pain and the grief of loss of when Isis, the original soul retriever, was roaming the lands looking for Osiris, and she was grief-stricken and covered in ash, and she was like pouring her grief and her sadness out onto the land, and she was searching for her beloved Osiris. And we have the noble heart, the beloved here. How do you love and celebrate yourself?
I love that question. How do you love and celebrate yourself? So rich.
Yeah.
It just feels like liquid gold, like honey right now, listening to this, isn't it? It's just like honey.
Yeah. And there is a theme here around the elixirs, the nectar of life. It is very much honey. There's a strong focus on the bee medicine, and honey is like a rich medicinal gift, isn't it? So she's this rich medicinal golden nectar.
She really is. It is the golden nectar. It is the dripping golden nectar of life that is this richness. And in Leo, it's just that we get to step into this in such a big way, but I also understand the unearthing and unveiling of the shame, the grief, the things that you have touched on that really penetrate, right? Like they penetrate the heart. Something I wrote down was this is an individual, independent journey, one you must go alone, the lion. That sort of just came through, because there's so much seeking outside, again, validation, approval, things you've already touched on, you know, this seeking outside of ourselves. I mean, I've written this in my 2023 kit, and I've been writing it this year, is it's like, stop that external search, you know, like it's the you know, it's not just happiness, but it's this alignment and this divine alignment of Leo in Lilith Lilith and Leo at this time. Thank you, Mercury. Lilith, we've actually done very well considering, because
We've
what
done
everyone needs to
exceptionally
understand
well.
too is that Mercury is not only retrograde in Libra, but exactly opposite Jupiter today, my friends, exactly opposite Jupiter. So hello, how are things going to go here? But yeah, but with this transit, there's such a, like you said, there is something, it's the mystery. We are entering a temple and a mystery school. And I wrote Hathor before you had said that. That's why, and because I feel this again. I mean, you've been talking about Egypt with me a lot, because we just have been talking about Egypt, but it's just so interesting that there's something that's really being unearthed here. And there is a mysteriousness, but what really landed for me is that this is a time to go alone, and not in the way that we have to be lonely, not in the way that we have to hide away, because, you know, this is coming out of hiding. You know, Lilith in Leo is the coming out of hiding and the shining and the, you know, standing in that. But this, I just felt this lion energy, and it's just like, you know, the lion, you know, walks her own path. And it's exactly what you were saying before, when we're not seeking the approval, seeking outside of ourselves for the validation or whatever that is, especially with the Leo archetype. But we actually, if we do our own journey alone, how much of these old ways, shame, grief, guilt, the exile, all of the things you've mentioned, just fall away naturally, because we're being sovereign. We've reclaimed our heart, we've reclaimed our soul song, ourselves. So there's so much in this, Mikailah, that, yeah, I mean, we could talk for 68 years, because it's so rich, and it just feels so incredibly, it feels familiar what you're saying. And of course, no one better to be speaking Lilith and Leo than you with Lilith and Leo, you know, like this is the medicine that you teach us. And it just feels like, you know, I was feeling, no word of a lie, I was feeling a bit shambly before we, you know, got here, and, you know, things were taking extra time, Mercury, my microphone, all the shit. And once you've dropped in and you've done this, I feel the fire within me just lighting me up. Like I feel like my whole energy shifted just by listening. So I actually really hope too that everyone listening is getting, this is not just Mikailah sharing things. This is Mikailah giving us a deep soul activation on Lilith and Leo. And if we listen closely, not just to her words, but to her energy and to her stories, goosebumps again, something is changing for us right now in this. And right now when we're recording it, it hasn't even happened yet, but I can feel it in my bones, and constant goosebumps. My goodness, if you could see me, I'm covered in them. So I just want to say thank you and keep going.
Oh, thank you, darling. And there is the shadow inversion of Leo as well. And we know this so well in Australia with the tall poppy syndrome. Okay. And also, Black Moon Lilith and Leo is saying to you, love yourself, find your own creative gifts, find your own medicine. You don't need to copy or covet from another. We all learn and share, and that's the beauty and the grace of what we do, and you know, the great universal creative source of ideas and concepts. But I've got here, be responsible for your own innovative gifts. Do not covet or steal, and accept the gold within and see your own potential, your own self-worth. Now, I'm not talking about, you know, when we have beautiful mentorships and we learn, that's amazing, but deeply honor where you've learned from as well. Yeah?
Definitely.
And yeah, and
it's a whole nother conversation we could have.
Yeah. That might be part 5.
Yeah.
And, you know, allow the divine child, like Leo is the divine child, and it's like this playful, fun, creative energy, and again, movement. moving your hips. And so we don't always need to psychoanalyze what is happening. Yeah. And so quite often it's like, let your body release what is happening. We don't always have to go into the big cathartic retelling of what has happened or the re-triggering of what has happened. Just allow your body. She is the embodiment of being here, coming home to here, loving yourself here, loving yourself here. Yeah. And just, you know, somatic body work is really important as well with Black Moon Lilith. Yeah. I can't say that enough. It's, you'll need to, because our society, our culture has glorified academia and degrees and qualifications, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's beautiful. I love learning. I have a deep curiosity and love for always learning and studying. It's not about that. It's when we become so disconnected that we only glorify the rational mind and don't drop into our bodies. And that's why you and I, Tiani, we work with experiential embodied astrology. How does it feel? So, for example, you know, like working with embodied or experiential astrology, the glyphs, the ancient glyphs of the symbols, and we've done this before, haven't we, Tiani? It's like not going off what is learnt knowledge, but what does this bring up for you? Where does it sit in your body? What's it stirring within? And it might be uncomfortable, you know, and having a dialogue with that part of yourself and learning to own your sovereignty and your maturity, your emotional maturity and intelligence is really important with this transit as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rather than coming from childish, dramatic reactions, rather than responding as intelligent, emotionally mature adults.
Yeah, that real higher octave of the Leonian archetype, right?
Absolutely. And with all of the signs, there's a coarse expression, there can also be a refined expression, and there's no right or wrong, there's no judgment or shaming, and we all have blind spots. Like you've talked about that before, Tiani. Hey, when the sun's shining so bright, you can't see the wood for the trees. We all have blind spots, we all have shadow.
Right.
Yeah. So anything else you'd like to add, darling heart?
Yeah, you know, some of the things that I'd written, you know, about this, you know, the descent, you know, like you said, it's not the ascent, it's not you're like the fire goes up, but then you were talking about actually descending through to the earth and that cosmic portal and the cosmic birth canal, and just even talking about like the myths of Lilith or any myths, especially the asteroids, which Mikailah always does a great job at sort of demystifying myths, because myths are allowed to change and myths are open to interpretation. And because they were all very patriarchal, I remember my daughters saying the other day, because I've got a new computer and I've put Medusa all over her. I have a very strong connection to Medusa, and they were like, oh, but she's mean. And I said, well, she's actually not. So, you know, when we actually go into the story of Medusa or Lilith or whatever, we can start to retell the story from a very different perspective. And, you know, I remember saying this earlier this year with the Lilith in Cancer, is that, you know, and even that toxic Lilith, right, is the very reactive or angry. And it's not to say that she doesn't deserve to be angry. And there is a place for the sacred anger and sacred fire. Do not get me wrong. However, there's also this knowing with Lilith. She knows. And when she is really from that sort of that third rebirth state of where she is, that very mature space, there's no need for her to fight anymore because she knows all the secrets. Like, she has that connection to, obviously, the earth, the tree of life, the catechus, the snake, the owl. Like, she's got these incredible totems, but she is the earth, like Mikailah was saying. Like, she is the cosmic portal to the earth as well. So there is this, again, when we're looking at sort of storytelling and myth, don't feel like you've got to get caught up in the cerebral thing, but this is what happened. I even, really sort of connect into that Leviathan sort of side of Lilith, and I find it very fascinating if women especially are afraid of snakes. I'm like, there's medicine if you are afraid of snakes, because that is a strong part of Lilith. And was it the snake in the Garden of Eden who enticed Eve to eat the apple? And was that snake Lilith herself? Well, fucking of course it was, darling. I mean, that's my take on this. That's my take on this. So the thing is that we're allowed to evolve, and Lilith can evolve for us as well. And we've still got to come into the fire of Lilith, especially with Lilith and Leo. I think that it's going to ignite deep burning flames for some, where we've got to burn off the old dross of who we are and our own shame and our own inhibitions and our own tall poppy syndromes and all those things, especially as women. Like, this is a time for us to rise with the fire and to dance naked as she flames on in the center of the earth. This is such a rich homecoming with Lilith and Leo, that it does feel like a homecoming in a very different way that I've sort of said that Lilith in Cancer is a homecoming, because she is on a very different level. But this, we're going to dip into this sovereign courage next year. And I'm so excited about it. I'm really, really excited about this one.
Yeah, and she is the ultimate magician and sorceress, and this is the gift of the soul retrieval of fire and purging into the fire as a creative element. Like, you release into the fire what you want to release and purge and let go of. So the sacred ash is so important, and that's what we're doing. We're purging into the fire all of any old stories or narratives or energies, and she will give you, I've been fascinated about Black Moon Lilith and Leo whilst the nodes of fate are South Node, Libra, North Node, Aries, and I will have some very prominent 2023 dates, but it's like she's going to give you the courage to get out of any fawning responses.
I love that.
Because her energy is not about being an acceptance or, sometimes there's that psychological edge, not all, but with Libra of the people pleaser, I'm just being very generic here. Black Moon Lilith does not, in all of her truthfulness and deep heart, she does not play those emotional games. She's not passive aggressive. In her truth, in her healthy expression, she comes and she cuts away all of those old conditionings and programmings that we've picked up on that is not her and her authenticity. So this is a wonderful fire cleanse, a wonderful fire purification that's coming through for all of us, in this agency of self, this deep knowing of who are we. And we always need to work on the creative golden alchemist that exists within all of us. It's internal. It's this internal landscape of walking through your internal desert and seeing, is there gold there? Is the radiance there? The golden sunstone, that is the light, the vibrational frequency. Without the sun, we don't survive here on planet Earth.
That's right. Yeah, I love that. Just the purging into the fire, and the playfulness. Like, let's reclaim that as well. I think that's a big part of her innocence. I think that with Leo there is an innocence that we often forget about because it's so heavily draped in drama, or the archetype of excess, or the archetype of even pleasing. You know, what we forget about the archetype of Leo is that it's one of the most tender hearts, because we know that Leo rules the heart, and they do have the most tender heart, probably one of the most sensitive signs that you will come across, although you might not think so, because the facade of it's, I always talk about Leo, the archetype, like the lion from the Wizard of Oz. You know, he's lacking courage until he gets it, right? Until he realizes that it was always there, and that he can be who he really is. Because and I think that that's a strong invitation of what we're going to go into, and we do want to tap into that play and tap into that inner child, because we know that a child and play, all inhibitions are dismantled. You know, all but you should, but you shouldn't, but what about what that person thinks, or all of that stuff doesn't matter. Like that's again, but we've got to, especially if we're older and more conditioned or inhibited or feeling restricted by our own sovereignty, we've got to go in and purge those. Like these are the things that we will want to purge and transform and transmute, you know, in the fire, in this sacred fire. And, you know, remember the North Node's moving into Aries next year, you know, so we are being encouraged. This fire energy will be so strong for us next year. It's quite unique. And actually Lilith will make a beautiful trine to the North Node on around the 29th of August, just saying, because you know, that's when she will make that beautiful trine to the North Node. So expect some beautiful magic that day, you know. That'll be a great day for ceremony.
Dates.
Yes, yes.
I love what you said, Tiani, that the soul seeking, you'll come back home to yourself and discover it's always been inside of you all along. And I would encourage you, invite you to stoke your own inner fire and, you know, allow any sense of shame that lives within you to be met, to be befriended, to shine the light, to make friends. Leo is a very generous, kind-hearted energy, yeah? And there's love, there's enough love for everybody. It's not coming from a place of scarcity. Yeah, there's enough for everybody here. There's enough love, there's enough warmth, there's enough passion, there's enough creativity, there's enough. You are enough. Keep saying, like if Black Lilith came in and Leo should say, you are enough. You have all that you need. You are enough.
And then that support from the North Node in Aries, which is also similarly saying the thing. This is like moving towards your truest identity. This is moving towards your truest sense of self. No longer being, you know, the Libra archetype is that of cooperation. It is we, not me. So there is the energy of always wanting to cooperate or be passive in a way to please. And that there's nothing wrong with that. That's not a negative thing. It's just, you know, as I always say to people, if you take offense to astrology, you've missed the point. That's got nothing to do with it. We have all of these archetypes in our chart. We are all 12 archetypes, and we cannot deny that there are a few archetypes that do tend towards that, purely because they want to merge, purely because they want to balance, purely because that's their actual energy. Like that's what they want to do. So the thing is that we're being invited so sovereignly over these last years, and now even with the North Node in Taurus, I mean, we're experiencing, this is around your truth, coming back to your organic truth, coming back to your inner resources. Trust me, Taurians don't go for readings very much. You know why? Because they trust themselves first. They go to nature. Nature is their biggest resource. So already we are being given, you know, Taurus again is very me and Scorpio is very we, right? So again, we're letting go with this Scorpio South Node of this, again, the drama, the toxicity, the stories, the trauma. Not to say they're not valid, but we're healing them. We're moving through them and coming back to sovereignty. And then, hello, Lilith moves into Leo. The North Node moves into Aries, South Node in Libra. Again, the message is the same. It's clear. It is you. You are your savior. You are your warrior. You are the one. And for people like me who have been living like this my whole life, I'm just like, oh, welcome to my fucking life. But the thing is it's just like, this is exciting from a collective perspective because we are being invited home. And Lilith is, I think she's holding the flame next year. You know, she's the one holding the torch, sort of like the hermit, but not the hermit, you know, like I was trying to sort of connect into, I don't know, tarot has sort of just been playing in my field lately. I'm not sure why. I'm not really a tarot person, but when it comes to numerology and astrology, I sort of weave them in that way. But yeah, really interesting fascination with the Hermit at the moment, which is, you know, the number 9 as well. If you're born on the 9th, Hermit is 9. The energy with Virgo, with the light and the leading the way, the purity, the flame in the lantern, and also Lilith being in a sign for 9 months. You know, that 9 is really resonating with me with the Hermit again. So, and again in Leo, what's that? Self, sovereignty, autonomy. And Lilith herself encourages that. Like, that's what Lilith does. She is like, come back home to your inner nature. So everything since the North Node moved into Taurus is you know, it keeps pointing us back home to our hearts, and it's so exciting, Mikailah. Like, I'm loving it. It's just super rich.
And she's definitely about the unshaming of coming home to ourselves. And interesting you touched on the exile, because that's also Dark Moon Lilith, Waldemarth, where she's exiled and banished. And the thing with Lilith is she does love connection. She does love connection, but she wants you to be in your true reverence and not to feel inadequate or worthless. That's a huge distraction. Like, how many women are so distracted in their lives by just that very theme? And that keeps us distracted from our true gifts, our true medicine of showing up in the world. And yeah, like Dimitri George talks about in the mythology, Lilith, as the first wife of Adam, said, I do love you, but you need to meet me as your equal. It's about equality and partnership and respect and reverence and love. So there is that ultimate heart's desire of Leo, of wanting to connect with another and play with another and be loved and adored and celebrated, but to have true respect and harmonious existence. And this is about creating. That's why she's the progressive way singer, and I call her the evolutionary song, because this is what she's calling us home, all of us, to the collective new way, the new way of dreaming. Yeah, very potent magician she is. And with the dates, like, you know, when we go into the Astro New Year on the 21st of March with the sun 00 degrees Aries, it's trining Black Moon Lilith 7 degrees Leo on our astrological new year. Like with what you were saying, Tiani, about this impetus, this awakening transmission, this activation, like seriously, the sun alchemizing the new year in Aries, trining Black Moon Lilith 7 degrees Leo.
Amazing.
And, you know, then we have this eclipse energy, lunar eclipse on the 6th of May, where she's squaring the sun and Uranus and Taurus and the moon in Scorpio. So that's a potent one with the nodes of fate. I'm just going to briefly go over these dates. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
I'm focusing predominantly on the equinoxes and solstices because I love those as solar festivals, and Leo is governed by the sun.
Yes, I love that.
And then on the 22nd of June, we have the solstice gateway. And that, like, seriously, when I looked at these, when I was tracking these, I was like, these are really potent activation points. So the solstice gateway, the 22nd of June, Venus is at 14 degrees Leo, Black Moon Lilith conjunct at 18 with Mars exact at 18, trining Chiron 19 degrees Leo, on the solstice gateway. Chiron 19 Aries. Thank you.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
We've got each other's back, Tiani.
Yes. Yeah,
right? No, we always have each other's back.
Always.
Especially Mercury retrograde periods. Hey, darling.
It's just too easy to just keep saying the things when all you have in your mind is degrees and signs and degrees and planets and signs. Oh, great. Yes. That trine I looked at myself, you know, with Venus Lilith trining Chiron in Aries. That's pretty powerful. Again, Aries, sovereign, self,
Exactly.
master, you know.
Right on the solstice gateway.
That's incredible.
And then we have this beautiful Black Moon Lilith Kazemi with Black Moon Lilith and the Sun 24 degrees Leo on the 17th of August. Like celebration. Hello. It's like bringing it all home to that. Then the equinox gateway on the 23rd of September. She's right there with Hecate, the witch so Black Moon Lilith 28 degrees, Hecate 21 Leo. It's a 17 degree orb. It's a bit wide for my liking with the asteroids, but we have to bring in the two witches. Yeah. And that's, you know, that's right on the equinox. Very potent in ancient mythology with those gateways.
Yeah, so this is spring equinox for us down under in September with Hecate. Yeah, amazing.
And then the autumn equinox for the northern kin.
Yes.
Yeah. And then what I love, the 25th of September, Black Moon Lilith 29 degrees Leo, and an anaretic karmic degree is with Hecate opposite the Saturn retrograde in Pisces. Okay. And then, of course, on the 3rd of October, we have Black Moon Lilith moving into mutable Earth, Virgo. And then we've got these incredible connections. Black Moon Lilith with Venus, also 00 degree Virgo, like this 9th of October and through October and December. We've got incredible alignments of Black Moon Lilith and Virgo with Venus. Then we have on the 10th of October, Black Moon Lilith 0 degrees with the moon 0 degrees and Venus 1 degree in Virgo.
And that one is interesting because I'd written that the first connection with Venus and Lilith is the 27th of June, and that's 18 degrees of Leo. And then the second hit is the 7th and 8th of August, which is her second hit at 23 degrees Leo. And then her third and final hit is that 00 of Virgo. And then the moon moving there too. I'd written that as well. And then Lilith also for that first, when she is coming into Virgo, that can, you know, opposition to Saturn in Pisces there for that first bit of time. So that was quite, and then there's this beautiful grand Earth trine when she's in Virgo as well with Mercury retrograde.
Yes.
So there's a lot. When she shifts into Virgo, it's quite active straight away too.
Very. And what I love, and I've got here in bold, is that on the 22nd of December on the solstice, the Earth trine that you've talked about, Black Moon Lilith 8 degrees Virgo, with the Sun and Mercury in Capricorn trining the Moon and Jupiter 5 degrees Taurus, like on the solstice gateway, that incredible Earth trine. Like, we've got some seriously amazing astrological lineups with this. And least we forget, I've put it for the 26th of July. She's there with Mercury and Venus retrograding in Leo, and this is activating a whole new Inanna star journey for 2023 and then that brings in Venus for the 18-month cycle, one of the oldest ancient feminine initiation rites. And this is my signature pieces. I love to teach the Inanna star journey as an embodied experiential journey. So that for July 2023 is like, I'm super preparing for that incredible priestess lineage and embodiment of what does that mean for you. Like, for you, it's not about what we're saying, it's like, how does that live, and what is the memories of different times and places. And now, the activation of now is so important. Now, moving forward, dreaming in the new reality. and with these solstice and equinox gateways for the soul of festivals.
She's just, yeah, she's really treating us, isn't she? I mean,
So,
even her signature in, when she moves in on the 8th of January 2023, she's conjunct the moon. So that's already there. It's a little bit wide, but it's not that wide, but it's 5 degrees. So she's there. And then she's also opposite Venus. So straight away she's going into this very strong get ready, because this is around, you know, Lilith and Venus are playing really strong next year. Obviously, you know, Lilith will still do what she needs to do with other planets, but I find that I love to look at a signature of a transit from the ingress. And so the ingress straight away conjunct the moon. So the moon cycles are very prominent with her, and then that opposition to Venus, and then a trine to Jupiter. So straight away her signature is quite bold. And then with that, you know, when she makes that next square to Venus, you know, she's getting to her cycle before she makes her 3 conjunctions to Black Moon Lilith Venus, making her, you know, Venus and the Black Moon Lilith making their 3 conjunctions. But really, really fascinating that that's her, you know, her first thing. Venus is very strong there, 6 degrees of Aquarius. So I was like, wow, it's bold. What a bold move.
Yes, and of course, because we know that Venus, the morning and the evening star, she is the Sumerian Inanna, and Venus is the Babylonian Ishtar. And of course, they have the mythology of Inanna Ishtar descending down through the morning star gateways with the moon. And then Lilith resides in the base of the tree, you know, so there is a strong weaving, and this is what I just have orgasms about, literally and figuratively, being Taurian, apart from our beautiful chocolate and water, darling, is that weaving in Black Moon Lilith into the Inanna Ishtar gateways with the moon is the ultimate celebration and acknowledgement of these celestial activations, but for us here on Earth, listening to the heartbeat. And so this is again the heartbeat of Mother Earth, Mama Earth. Her heartbeat is in resonance with our heartbeat, yeah? So the medicine drum, the Nimshi bars were the sacred sisters that played the medicine drum. Why Inanna went down into the underworld, the Nimshi bars couldn't go down with Inanna. And this is what you were saying and alluding to, Tiani. This is all on you as an individual. You have to take this journey yourself. You will have Nimshi bars playing the medicine drum, the ceremonial frame drum. And it will be reminding you of the heartbeat of Mother Earth when you're going through this initiation rite, to reclaim, to find yourself as you descend down through each of the gateways. In the underworld, you will meet your dark shadow, Ereshkigal. And then you will be reborn and rise again like the fire rising and reclaiming in her regenerative wisdom and knowledge and knowing, deep, deep knowing. And it will be the drums of the Nimshi bar, the heartbeat, that you follow back to the rising in the reclamation.
I love that. And I think, isn't it amazing too, that then after that journey, which you've just spoken of as the descending through the gates and undressing and uncloaking and discovering the deep shadow, facing yourself, and which is, you know, Venus retrograde next year, which is a huge signature in Leo. But then that reclaiming and that coming back through, but then that next hit of her beginning journey again with Lilith and Venus is in Virgo, 0, that purity. We begin again, but it's how different is that going to feel from the 2 Leo hits and the journey that we've just got undertaken because of the Leo, the Venus and Leo retrograde as well, with Lilith there. It's such a strong signature of breathing fire into our own hearts, breathing fire back into our own psyche. I mean, it's exciting, but it's going to be deep, because facing shadow, and you know, I wrote a lot about this with the Venus retrograde in my kit, is that, you know, this is, you know, Leo has to come and face some of the shadows when Venus is in the underworld here, because it's not, you know, Venus in Leo, which is so luscious, and then when she's in the underworld, it's a very different story. And to have Lilith accompanying her, I mean, like, whoa.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. This is not for the faint-hearted. You know, like, pack your courageous heart. And you know what came through when you were speaking, because I love how when you speak it triggers things in me, and we just flow backwards and forwards, is that this is the dragon mother energy. This is a very ancient dragon mother energy here that's being activated with the salamanders, the elementals, and of course the nodes of fate. The south node is the dragon's tail, the north node in Aries is the dragon's head. So there's a lot here around ancient wisdom being stirred up in the tectonic plates of Mother Earth, Tiani? Like, she's going to shake and move as well. This is the ring of fire.
With Uranus still in Taurus, I mean,
yes,
it's wild. It's big. Black Moon Lilith squares Uranus on the 24th of July.
Yeah, and the thing is, we get so preoccupied with ourselves, and predominantly we have been talking about ourselves and how the personal journey is, but fuck, let's just take a step back a moment and go, we're this compared to what Mama Earth is going to be going through in these transits. Hey, she's going to be rocking and rolling, and these tectonic plates and the elementals, they're coming up. They're going to be, because there's an accountability here of how we live our lives in accordance with true integrity. It's actually not about us. It's about being in custodianship and guardianship to the sovereignty of Mother Earth herself.
Yep, love that. The accountability of how we live, for sure. Yep. Geez.
Because Venus does hold a decadence with her. You know, there's a shadow and an inversion to everything. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm like lost for words, because I'm just like, I feel like I just wrote here that, you know, the North Node, the dragon's head is the devouring, you know, the dragon devours. So we're going to be like devouring this fire, you know, in Aries, once the North Node moves there, and then with Lilith in Leo, and then Venus retrograde in Leo. So, you know, there's such a strong fire energy. And then with, you know, this elemental air stuff that we're still being triggered with Pluto just popping into Aquarius, and, you know, there's this air, you know, stokes the fire, you know, air brings it up, and Pluto, you know, they make a very, very wide sort of opposition when you know, very wide opposition when Pluto does move into 0 Aquarius. It's 8 degrees, but it's there, like Lilith's at 8 degrees, and Pluto just digs into 0, and it's opposite Lilith there too. So there's going to be something stirring from the underworld even before, you know, all of this Venus hit, and you know, and actually the Venus retrograde and Lilith diving, and oh my goodness, like, it's just, I mean, we could have done like part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, like of just this transit alone, because it's rich with discovery. It is rich with discovery and self-discovery. And
that Pluto retrograding backwards and forwards in late degrees Capricorn, what that means out into the collective, and also Black Moon Lilith with all of her transits that you've spoken into, throwing that out into the collective as well. And just keep remembering that she's the great cosmic birth canal, and she's connected to the vibrational frequency of Pachamama, Nanjina Tia, Earth Mother. And
with Uranus in Taurus, you know, like it's Gaia, you know, like it's it's and again, fixed signs really in it, with Lilith and Leo, you know, so all of us heavy fixed charts where we've been going through Saturn in Aquarius, Uranus in Taurus, you know, that's square, you know, so if you've got fixed heavy signs in your chart, Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio, again, because of the nodes as well, still in Scorpio and Taurus till mid-year, then Lilith's there, you know, again, there's going to be something that's really, you know, enraging but enlivening for us as well. So those fixed signs, remember, you know, Lilith will be making her squares, oppositions and conjunctions to those as well. So we're not out of the woodworks yet, even when Saturn finally moves out of fucking Aquarius, you know, Lilith is in here and she's gonna, you know, she's gonna transmute and do something new for us. And it's, yeah, it's, I mean, I just feel excited.
And as well, that is the Leo excitement, isn't it, as well? But also with her moving, ingressing into Virgo, you know, that's feminine earth. That brings a solidity and a grounding, and that feels really divine, that heart service, moving from divine heart service of that beautiful energy to incorporate the Virgoan service and our health and our well-being. And you know, there's a deep, deep call here, isn't there? And then Pluto ingressing into Aquarius is for the collective as well, but it's deeply rooted in the earth. Big awakening.
Yeah, it is a huge year. It is a huge, huge year. I feel like really satisfied right now.
Same.
It's just like, it was just like a bit, you know, like intellectual conversation for me. It was just like, we've just had this one long orgasm. And now it's like, not that I smoke, but this is the time that we have the smoke. And just like, I'm so relaxed. Like, I just feel it all imbued. I feel shifted. I feel released and relaxed and ready, you know, ready to move through this fire next year. Like, I feel like it's really, you know, it's calling, you know, and pulling my heartstrings so deeply. So
yeah, and just remember, there will be a climax, and then there'll be the drop.
Yes. It's been a journey. It's been such a beautiful journey to have you, you know, share all of that, Mikailah, and really help to seed this in our psyche and invite us to go deeper into so many of the facets and Lilith archetype herself that you've invited for us. It's just been really delectable, I must say, darling. Absolutely delectable. Thank you.
And I'll just leave you with, you know, the beautiful Egyptian goddess Mut is your heart as light as a feather. So using the beautiful scales, hey, of the Libran scales to weigh up the heart, and may all individuals, may there not be that heaviness, may there be that lightness and that grace that can come through with this as well.
And so perfect too with the South Node in Libra, that question.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And all you beautiful kin for listening and staying with us through this wild climatic journey with two Taurians. So thanks, Tiani, as well, because this is an incredible honour to be sharing with so many other amazing collaborative astrologers and bringing this depth to astrology and this true embodiment of experiencing it.
Yes, my deepest calling. Thank you so much, Mikailah. It's been a pleasure, an honor, and it has just been, what a journey, what a beautiful ride that was. So thank you for taking us there, and we love you and honor your beautiful storytelling and your beautiful wisdom. Thank you so much.
Thanks, darling.
Wow.
Thank you, everyone.